What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, please do subscribe. I'm new to YouTube and I'm trying to build a bit of a following. Now, I've been rambling a lot about why people are leaving the UK and seeking a better life abroad. But I've been living outside of the UK for about 15 years now. I moved here in 2009 and I thought I would sit down and have a bit of a chat about some of the things that I really miss. And there's a few that I don't. Now, these are my top 6 things that I do miss about the UK. And hopefully, if I run through these, it'll help you if you are making a decision to potentially move abroad. Let's jump into it. Okay, my top reason or my top thing that I miss about the UK is obviously family. It's a real easy one, right? Nothing beats that ability to drive down the road and see your mum, go to your nan's for a proper cup of tea, or see your nieces and nephews, your relatives, whatever it is, in real time and not through a phone screen. Now, when you live overseas, you need to understand that birthdays, Christmases, those little moments, and I'm at an age now where I'm about to start a family. We're planning a family in New Zealand with my girlfriend, who's a Kiwi here. And I've come to that realization where, first birthdays, Christmases, the birth potentially of my child, that I won't have that family around me. And you do start to realize how valuable those sort of little day to day interactions are. My girlfriend has quite a big family here and she sees her family quite regularly. I only seen mine through a phone screen. And as families get older, my grandmother, she's getting older now, you realize that you are missing out on those family bonding moments, family activities, and it's something that can make you homesick. So it is a factor in a decision to move overseas. You need to understand that homesickness plays a big role, and you're moving day to day physical interactions to a computer, to a phone screen, and you have to get used to it. Now, I'm quite lucky. I talk to my mum every single week. We have regular phone calls, so I don't see it or it doesn't affect me as much. But it is definitely something that I miss about the UK. So that's number one on my list is family. Now, number two is actually friends, and more specific is banter. The same goes for your mates. I miss being able to call my friends and say, hey, fancy a pint. It doesn't really happen. New Zealand has a quite different culture when it comes to pubs, and we'll touch on pubs a little bit later on. But having a friend who is always available to go for a pint after work and having a group of UK mates around you, the banter is just different. UK humor has a certain edge to it. The sarcasm, the quick comebacks, the taking the piss out of each other constantly. It is an art form and it is hilarious. I don't think any other nation does banter like the UK. Australia, New Zealand, it just it's not the same. Okay, let me just put it that way. It's not bad, but it's not the same as UK banter. Third thing that I really miss about the UK is football at 3 o'clock, man. Or just football during the day. I really miss football at 3 p.m. on a Saturday. A proper match day feel when you wake up, you throw on your team shirt, you head to the pub or the stadium or whatever it is, you have a pint or two and you argue about the starting 11, or you're having banter with your mate about who's the best Premier League team. Football matches for me are 90% of the time pre-recorded, and I'll get up early in the morning. If you imagine a game's on at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, that's going to be like a 3 a.m., 2 a.m. New Zealand time. I'm not getting up that early to watch the match. So I have to get up at, 5 or 6, and I'll watch the replay of that game before we start our day. Sometimes I will get lucky with Champions League and Europa League, where they're 8 p.m. matches. So they're 7 a.m., 8 a.m. matches New Zealand time, which is awesome. But just that afternoon day game, we don't get, and I really do miss that. It was a big part of that culture growing up with my friends, being able to watch the footy. And, another thing is trying not to get spoilers. I have this ritual where I will just not look at my phone. And if I see messages on there, they're usually from rival fans, what I'm talking about, who have messaged me if we're lost. So you have to kind of hide your phone before you can watch the game. But live sport, it's not the same watching a replay as a live sport, you know what it feels like when you're watching a replay of a game versus something live. I feel like when you watch a live game, you almost have a feeling like you can impact it, like you're there cheering your team on, and where you're watching a replay, it's like all this is already done. Like there's nothing that I can do to impact the game. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like anyway. But yeah. Okay, football at 3 p.m. That's what I miss. Now, the fourth thing that I really miss is British pub culture. Now, speaking of pints, I do miss pubs. And not the let's get smashed on a Friday type, but it's the local boozer, the pub quiz on a Wednesday, the roast dinner on Sunday, Toby Carvery. Oh my God, the Red Lion, those really friendly beer garden spots in the summer. Now, pubs in the UK are more than just about drinking, right? They're where people live. They're where you catch up with mates, friends, family, relatives, where you argue about politics, play darts and pool and become mates. They're almost like second homes. They're very homely places. They're warm and inviting. We don't quite have that pub culture in New Zealand. A lot of places here are bars and restaurants, but they're not British pubs. They're not your local boozer where you're going to go for a couple of pints after work, catch up with your friends, throw a couple of darts. It's just not the same. So, yeah, definitely miss pub culture and can't wait to get back to Witherspoons and have a proper fry up and a pint. But yeah, moving on. The next thing on my list is British humor. And I know I've said it already, but honestly, the humor in England, it just hits differently. So when you try sarcasm abroad, people look at you like you've insulted their family. Whereas in the UK, we say, you're all right, or don't mean it and say not bad, whatever it is. Like it's not taken personally. Whereas in New Zealand, I've cracked jokes with my friends before, and it hasn't gone down quite well. Maybe I'm not as close as them as I am with my childhood friends, but a lot of times I'm in group chats with a couple of my mates, and we're just absolutely ripping shreds off each other. But it's all good, it's not personal. It is just a part of our British humor. And I think it's something that really sets the UK apart from other countries. If you try that type of technique or sarcasm in Europe or abroad, it's not looked at as in the same way as it is in British. So British humor, absolute class, top tier, one of the top 5 things that I miss. Now, number 6 on this list might surprise you a little bit, but it is the food. And I'm serious. Now, people love to slag off British food, but honestly, a proper full English breakfast, a Cornish pasty, a bacon bat with brown sauce, Greg's elite, always the first thing I get when I land at Heathrow Airport, get the train to King's Cross, Paddington, whatever it is, the first thing I go to is Greg's for that sausage roll. Absolutely elite. They slap. Now, abroad, it's avocado on toast and overpriced coffee. But no Greg's, no chippy. The fish and chips in England, the chip shops, absolutely elite. Chips, sausage, curry sauce, gravy, all of that good stuff. You do not get it here. The Chinese here in New Zealand, I I would give it a 6 out of 10 at a push. It's not that great. Whereas UK Chinese, absolutely elite. UK fish and chips, local chippies, that's what you want. That's where it's at. It cannot be beaten. And you don't know until you've tried it. And you don't appreciate it until you can't get it. But that would be number 6 of the top 6 things I miss is the food. Yes, really. Now that I've covered the top 6 things that I miss about the UK, I want to talk to you about what I don't miss. And there might be some things that surprise you on this list and others that you can probably guess. Now, let's start with number 1. It is the weather. Let's just say it. The weather is depressing. Grey skies, drizzle, you leave the house and it's cold and windy, but still somehow raining horizontally. There's like 3 weeks of summer, and the rest of the year it's just pissing it down. It's cold and damp. Whereas abroad, you do get a proper sun. That vitamin D is life changing, and the beach here in Mount Maunganui is phenomenal. So I do not miss the UK weather. I would say it is life changing when you live abroad and you have a proper summer and you can soak up the sun on the beach. Different, just different. Now, the second thing that I don't miss is commuting and the public space. I don't miss commuting in the UK. Trains delayed, tubes that are packed, people walking like zombies through Victoria Street. You're either sweating or you're freezing. You're always in someone's way. And there's no, hey, how are you? It's just heads down, headphones on. People are busy. They don't make eye contact. And it really does weigh you down. Obviously, it is a country with a significantly larger population than here in New Zealand, but you notice a difference, right? 5 million people in New Zealand spread out across two giant islands. There is a lot of space. Houses are quite big, the roads are nice and wide, and our commute is pretty reasonable. It's 15 minutes to get to the other side of the city. So, that would be my second thing that I don't miss. Now, the third thing kind of ties into this, but it is that sort of rush culture. Now, the UK runs on stress. Talking to my sister this morning, she was very stressed about her finances. She was stressed about council tax and TV licensing and the cost of food. Everyone's in a hurry. They rush to get to work. They rush to eat lunch. She said she has no time for the gym. She's rushing home only to, look after her kids and scroll on Instagram and just very busy. Now, I find abroad, a lot of people breathe. Like we have quite a relaxed culture. If you've ever been to Fiji, there's this thing called Fiji time where everyone's just taking things very slow. It's not really rushed and it's just very relaxed. You walk a bit slower, you eat slower, you actually taking the scenery around you and you live. Now, it took a while to sort of unlearn some of that go, go, go mindset that you grow up with in the UK. But once you do, it's an absolute game changer just to take a step back and breathe a little. Okay, number 4. Now, this one might hit home for quite a few of you, but that constant negativity, it's going to ruffle some feathers, but the UK does love a moan. Now, we're quite famous for complaining all over the world. The weather's rubbish, the trains are shit, the government's a mess. Fair, most of that is true, but it's like we get addicted to complaining. If your life is full of negativity, stop watching the news. Try and just take a back seat from that negativity. Don't let it infect you. Abroad, people are more, I don't know, maybe they're solution focused, but maybe we just don't pay attention as much. Certainly, I've noticed a difference in my mental health not watching the news and not getting tied up into politics. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but just a little bit less doom and gloom all the time. Okay, number 5. Now, I touched on this a little bit before, but the UK's lack of space. Now, the UK is tiny, small homes, tiny gardens, packed streets. Abroad, I live in a 4-bed place with a double garage. Yes, it's bloody expensive, but wider roads, bigger homes. You feel like you have more space. Even going for a walk in the UK, you get 10 other people behind you. Try doing that with a pram. Absolute nightmare. Or a dog. In other countries, it's probably a little bit more free, a bit more wide open. Obviously, population plays a huge factor in that. I get it, but these are just things that I don't miss about the UK, and I appreciate living abroad. It is that lack of space. Okay, I'm going to move on. Number 6, we're talking about the cost of living, and I've talked on this channel about the cost of living before. It's not exclusive to the UK. The cost of living hits every single country, but it is very expensive in the UK. Petrol, council tax, train fares, rent, everything's going up. I'm heading back to the UK in 9 weeks and we just had to book train fares. And I was kind of shocked at how expensive these trains have got recently. And what do you get for all of the council tax and companies tax and personal tax that you pay in the UK? Potholes, train strikes. Abroad, I found that places where you genuinely get a little bit of value for your money. Now, it's not perfect. No country is perfect. I'm not saying that New Zealand or Australia or Europe is perfect. There are always issues in terms of cost of living. But what I am saying is the UK is bloody expensive right now. Food, council tax, petrol prices, it is a drain on the wallets. And I feel for my family and particularly my sister who is really struggling to make ends meet and is not able to save and get on the property ladder because all of her money is just sucked up into paying bills. Okay, but I'll leave that rant there because we can go on all day about cost of living. Now, What do I miss? Number 7, probably a bit of that drinking culture. Now, I'm not saying I want to go out every weekend and get absolutely smashed. I know I said that I miss pubs already, but not I don't want that pressure to drink all the time, but it is nice that you can organize a proper night out with your friends. In the UK, you say you're not drinking, someone will say, "What are you, ill?" Abroad, there's less of that. You can just enjoy a social night and without necking 6 pints of Jaeger. You don't have to, right? Whereas in the UK, I always find that when you go out with your friends, it's just cheap alcohol. They want to do shots. They want to get absolutely smashed. Whereas here, we can just go out for a restaurant, have a couple of pints or a glass of wine with some friends. Whereas I found in the UK, the drinking culture is mainly focused around that we're going out to get pissed, not just enjoying a nice drink socially. So that is something that I've enjoyed and learned to enjoy living in New Zealand. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. So, look, I love the UK. It'll always be my home, but being on the other side of the planet in New Zealand has definitely given me a bit of perspective, and there's a lot I miss. Family, mates, football, those little things. But there's also a lot I don't. And honestly, I am grateful for the change. And I've been talking to a friend about moving to Australia and saying, hey, this could change your life. It could be really good for you. These are the things that you'll miss. These are the things that you'll gain. You have to make that decision for yourself. Now, if you moved away from the UK, I'd love to hear what you miss and what you absolutely don't. Drop it in a comment and let's chat. And please subscribe to this channel if you enjoy me rambling about all this stuff, because I am going to make new videos touching on these points. I'll show you a bit about what life is like in New Zealand. And if you're watching this from the UK, let me know what you think. Do you agree, or am I just getting soft? Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, smash the subscribe button if this gives you a bit of a laugh or it gets you thinking, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.